Welcome to the Engineering and Public Works Roadshow, coming to you from Winston-Salem at the Great Trail State Conference, celebrating the Great Trail State of North Carolina. And this week we're focusing in on an area of infrastructure which is seen regularly by people who use it, but don't really think about it on a day-to-day basis. That's recreational infrastructure. It's trails, greenways, things that we use to get out of our houses, especially after COVID. I mean, we're so hemmed in there, but people start appreciating the outdoor space, trails, greenways, getting out there, walking, getting healthy, exercising. It's the kind of things that really pull communities together. And we're looking at a number of projects throughout the state. And today we're looking at the Cross Charlotte Trail. It is a Kimley Horn project, joined by project manager Tori Golaszewski.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Okay, there we go. We got that out of the way. Tori, let's talk about this project and kind of how did it come to pass, and how did Kimley Horn get involved, and some of the background around that.
Okay. Well, so the full Cross Charlotte Trail is a partnership between Mecklenburg County and the City of Charlotte, and they work together to divide up segments of the Cross Charlotte Trail. As a whole, it's 26 miles across Mecklenburg County to Cabarrus County. So obviously that's not overly feasible to do that all at once. And the county had done a couple different sections, and so the city kind of jumped in and chose a couple sections that they would participate in. So the one we're talking about today, right now, is the Brandywine Road to Tyvola Road. So it's a 1.5 mile section between those two roads, and this section was particularly unique and challenging in that the county had built the section below it and above it. They had existing sections of trail, and then you kind of hit this corridor of dense development, very active roadways, a lot of challenges that came with the corridor that kind of put it on the back burner for a little bit. And so Kimley Horn was selected by the city to design this project. We started that process in probably 2015, 2016 with planning it, figuring out where it's going to go, because like I said, the dense development, a lot of stuff going on, so we were kind of limited to the Little Sugar Creek stream corridor to work in, and so kind of a lot of challenges that came along with that, and so that's kind of the origin of it.
But it seemed like the nice thing is at least the plan was there, and it seemed like the project it was one that was, we have to do it. It was just a question of
it was totally a missing link, and
so
when
now,
and how is this going to happen?
Exactly. Now, I mean, and it goes to the importance of once you actually link everything together, now you actually have this functioning kind of ecosystem of
Correct.
trail.
Yeah. Those little segments that are a mile and a half at a time are great. And I think some people struggle to see the functionality of them until you're able to tie them together and create transportation corridors, recreation corridors, that type of thing. So,
I mean, what is it from a community impact? How did this help connect, different areas of Mecklenburg County together, so that it was unified? So you're no longer separating communities out that could be disadvantaged and what have you.
Definitely. And as we all know, there's physical barriers that come, the stream, roadways, etc. So the county had built a lot of Little Sugar Creek below this particular section. So you're bringing in all those communities from either side of the creek, because you've got pedestrian bridges that cross the creek, and that's a physical barrier from a roadway standpoint. So you're bringing those communities together across the creek, and you're bringing the south to the north, and et cetera, as well as commercial development too. So kind of one of the terminuses of the project is a pretty big shopping center. So you're bringing people to that, and then the neighborhoods that come down.
So let's talk about, I guess, a little bit about how you found yourself on the project. Did you think that is this an area of engineering or an area that you kind of set out to do more of the recreational or trail greenway side, or what was your journey into engineering?
That's a great question. So I started with Kimley Horn about the time we started this project, so I've grown up with it, and I've seen all sides of it. And I was not overly sure what type of engineering I wanted to do. Obviously civil engineering, but that means a lot of different things. So when I first started, I kind of got involved in a couple different areas. I was working on bigger transit projects, and at that point, in that first year of figuring that out, I kind of said, I really want to do something that impacts where I live. And not that transit doesn't do that, that's super important, but for me, the projects throughout the country, the bigger jumbo projects, were not really speaking to me as much as the little stuff that was going to impact the community that I live in. So with starting the Cross Charlotte Trail project, I kind of jumped in on that and said, hey, I really want to work on this, had that opportunity, and like I said, grew up with it as it progressed in design and through construction, so I was able to kind of latch onto it, and it's honestly inspired a lot of what I do now, because most of the work that I do is bicycle pedestrian infrastructure within City of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, and all of North Carolina. So.
Which is, it's essential work.
Yep.
Without these pieces of infrastructure, the cities don't work. Really, it's, you can't drive everywhere, or we don't want to have everybody on cars.
Yes.
Right? People out of cars.
And give people another option.
Exactly.
So.
Right? And even if you have transit, the transit has a terminus. After that terminus, what happens, right?
Yep. You need connectivity.
Exactly. And it's also, I think it's a good example of how, to your point, smaller projects have outsized impact. I know, redesigning an airport is one of those things where it's a mega project and look how amazing it is, right? But a mile of greenway can transform people's lives.
Exactly, and that's what's very impressive. And this project in particular is all about connectivity, right? You have that missing link, and that mile and a half that we filled in unlocked a ton of doors for communities, and you have people using it that are down in the creek on the trail. I didn't know this creek existed, and now I'm here, and there's the road above me, and it's kind of cool to see people experience their community in that way, and feel like I had a part in it. So.
Exactly. And that's really something. I think it goes to something that we try to do with the Roadshow is talk to the potential engineer out there. Could be a junior high school kid who's like, I don't know what to do, but I like being outside. I like looking around and saying, how did this building happen? How did this road happen? From your perspective, coming into Kimley Horn at the project's practically inception and kind of grown up through it. What would you tell somebody out there who is thinking about engineering but just isn't sure whether it's for them or not?
I would definitely encourage younger folks to talk to people and figure out what engineers actually do. I was one of these people in high school where people were telling me to do engineering because I was good at math. And engineering is such a broad term that it's hard for someone of that age to understand what your day-to-day is going to look like, or what the projects even are that you're going to do. So to kind of get involved in the community and talk to people that are actively doing projects and figure out what their day-to-day is and where you would fit in that process, because there's so many different sides to it, and there's public sector infrastructure, which is obviously super impactful to communities, but then there's private sector stuff that you can also get involved with, or we've got planners and people who fit all different pieces of the puzzle, and without having those conversations and understanding what people are doing, then you're not going to know where you best fit in that puzzle, and having an idea of what people do, because I could tell you how many people said, oh, you should be an engineer, you're good at math, and
what does that mean?
I don't know. Having a real world understanding, because I don't even think I fully understood what civil engineers do, and particularly in the consulting world, how they interact with municipalities and various other types of clients. So getting a better understanding of that from people who actually do it, getting internships, figuring out how you can get involved in, even going to conferences or anything like that gives you a little perspective.
Yeah, because to your point, it's you have the design side. Of course, you do have the math and science, the direct STEM part of actually designing it. But there's a lot to get to that point.
Yeah.
A lot of community involvement, it's talking to people, figuring out what the challenges are, and it's problem solving, right?
Right.
How do we improve
It's working with people. It's getting to know people and solving different problems, being creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the numbers and the math that make it work.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
if you're out there, it's not just math. It's also a lot of people work. It's a lot of creativity. So, Tori, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
It's great to put a spotlight on these projects because they do have. You can have a project that might be a mile long, but then that impact is going to be significant for people now and into the future.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, having that ability to put your fingerprint on it must be it's
very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. I love it.
Fantastic. Well, Tori, thanks again. And this has been the Engineering and Public Works Roadshow. It's a combined effort by the American Council of Engineering Companies, the American Public Works Association, and our friends at the American Society of Civil Engineers. And we'll see you next time.